Hello and welcome to another Warhammer 40,000 Battle Report brought to you by the Legion Wargaming, and today we find ourselves on a planet that is the stage for an ongoing conflict between the Eldar of Craftworld Ulthway and the forces of the Imperium. Both sides have decided that this complex of bunkers needs to be seized, and both sides are deploying their very best troops to achieve that. The Eldar are unleashing the Swordwind. Their elite aspect hosts are going to sweep down on this base and take control. But the Imperium are sending in the veteran Space Marines of the Raven Guard 1st Company to do exactly the same. The mission today is an Eternal War mission. It is Crusade, and the objectives have already been placed. There are 3 of them. We have one next to this bunker, we have another next to these barricades, and the final objective is on the ground floor of this large ruined bunker. 1,850 points, and we are playing Hammer and Anvil deployment. Let's take a look at the armies. This 1,850 point Raven Guard list has no detachments at all, but it is made up of 3 formations. Starting with a formation from the Carry-On supplement, we have a Shadow Force, which consists of a captain with a Relic Blade, Raven's Fury jump pack and Armour of Shadows. And he has brought with him 10 Vanguard veterans with Twin Lightning Claws and jump packs, a squad of Stern Guard veterans, no upgrades on them, they just have their special issue ammunition, and a squadron of 2 land speeders, both with heavy flamers and multi-melters. This formation grants Scout acute senses and move through cover, and they can also re-roll their run moves. The second formation is another one from the Carry-On supplement. It is a Ravenhawk assault group, which consists of a squad of Stern Guard veterans. They all have combi melters, Ironclad Dreadnought with 2 heavy flamers, and they deploy in a deep striking Storm Raven with las cannons and multi-melters. The final formation, continuing the theme of the veteran company, is a 1st Company task force consisting of a squad of Terminators with a heavy flamer, squad of Vanguard veterans, they have jump packs, power fists and storm shields, and another squad of Vanguard veterans. They do not have jump packs, they have brought a Rhino along. They all have power weapons, 4 power swords, 1 power axe, and 3 of these veterans carry plasma pistols as well. So there is a very, very strong theme running through this army. Everything is from the 1st Company. It's a great thing about some of these formations. It really does allow you to play a list that follows a strong and fluffy theme. This is a very, very elite army. And let's see what the Eldar have bought. This 1,850 point Eldar list, like the Ravens, also does not include any detachments, but what it does include is incredibly deadly. Starting with an Aspect host, 6 Shining Spears with an Exarch, 6 Howling Banshees with an Exarch with an Executioner, and they are in a Wave Serpent with Twin Link Bright Lances, and 6 Striking Scorpions with an Exarch with Scorpion's Claw, and they are also in a Wave Serpent with Twin Linked Bright Lances. That is the Close Combat Aspect host. They all have Weapon Skill 5, making them very, very dangerous against Space Marines. There is another Aspect host consisting of 6 Fire Dragons with an Exarch, 5 Dark Reapers with an Exarch, and 6 Dire Avengers with an Exarch, and they all have +1 ballistic skill, so they have ballistic skill 5. Another very, very deadly formation. And we have some more Dire Avengers. The whole shrine has turned out 3 squads of 5, with 1 led by an Exarch, and they also have ballistic skill 5. This is an incredibly elite army. But it is not just the undirected fury of the Swordwind. The Ulthwé Seer Council has come to oversee the battle, another formation, and they have a lot of psychic potential. So we'll see what they get up to. So we have 2 Aspect hosts, a Dire Avenger Shrine and a Seer Council. There's 4 formations, but this list is technically unbound, as the Aspect Warriors need a ride. So there are 2 unattached Falcons, each with additional star cannon. This is an incredibly elite army. The Ravens have bought an incredibly elite army. Let's see who comes out on top. Going in to deployment. And the armies have deployed, although as you may expect from such veteran troops, they have both been very cagey about it. The Eldar have deployed 2 Falcons on their right flank, 1 containing Dire Avengers and the other containing Fire Dragons, and the Howling Banshees in their Wave Serpent have deployed in the centre. The Eldar have formed up in strength around the objective in their deployment zone. They have deployed 1 squad of Dire Avengers from the Dire Avenger Shrine right on the objective, and they are supported by the Dark Reapers, who have a great field of fire from there, and the Seer Council ready to add their psychic support where it is needed. And on their left flank, the remaining 2 squads of the Dire Avengers from the Shrine are pushing up towards the central objective. However, following the decision made by the Eldar to outflank with both the Striking Scorpions in their Wave Serpent and the Shining Spears, they have been caught a bit by surprise by the Shadow Force's scout moves. The captain and his squad of 10 Vanguard veterans with Lightning Claws have pushed up, and they are right on top of the central objective. With the Armour of Shadows and Raven Guard chapter tactics, they also begin the game with Stealth and Shrouded. So that seems like a very, very effective combination. The other squad of Vanguard veterans from the 1st Company Task Force, with their Power Fists and Storm Shields, they don't need cover with their Storm Shields, so they have deployed ready to push up towards the aliens as quickly as possible. The other squad of Vanguard in their Rhino from the 1st Company Task Force have been ordered to secure the objective in the Raven Guard's deployment zone. They are parked inside the ruin bunker, guarding that objective. And the land speeders from the Shadow Force were deployed on the Raven Guard far left flank, but they have used their scout move to move towards the central objective. The Ravens have left a lot in reserve. The Ravenhawk assault group, a squad of Terminators, will be deploying by deep strike. So both sides have a lot of reserves that will be joining from who knows which table edge or who knows where when the Ravens deep strike. The Raven Guard deployed first, so unless the Eldar can seize initiative, we will be going into Raven Guard turn 1. End of Raven Guard turn 1 movement phase, and it has been a very quick one. The Shadow Captain and his Vanguard veterans have decided that they're in good cover, they're right on the objective, they can't assault this turn having scouted, so they don't want to bring themselves into range of any more Avenger catapults, so they have held position. The Vanguard with Storm Shields and Jump Packs and Power Fists have decided just because they've got Storm Shields, it doesn't mean they should tempt fate by standing in front of the Eldar Dark Reapers, so they are trying to hide themselves behind this bunker. The Vanguard in their Rhino, they are following their orders. They are happy where they are at the moment, so they have not moved, and the land speeders with their highly skilled Shadow Force pilots have zipped through these central bunkers, passing their dangerous terrain, and they are going to see if they can knock the Howling Banshees out of their Wave Serpent with their multi-melters. Very, very quick phase. Let's see what the Raven Guard do in their first shooting phase. End of Raven Guard turn 1 shooting phase, and if anything it was even quicker than the movement phase. The Vanguard in the centre with their power fists ran just to make sure that they cannot be seen by the Dark Reapers, and the land speeders targeted the Howling Banshee's Wave Serpent, which jinked, but it didn't need to worry in the end as both multi-melters missed. It's been an incredibly brief turn, but the Raven Guard are looking like they are in a very, very good position. Let's see what the Eldar do going into Eldar turn 1. End of Eldar movement phase turn 1, and the Eldar grav tanks on their right flank have all moved up. They know that to take the objective in the Raven Guard's deployment zone, the first thing they're going to have to do is get the Ravens out of that Rhino. So the grav tanks are preparing their pulse lasers and bright lances to achieve exactly that. The Farseer, Dark Reapers and one squad of Dire Avengers have all held position. The Farseer has realised that the Aspect Warriors cannot really deploy from their transports until the heavy flamers on the Raven Guard land speeders have been dealt with, so he is ordering both land speeders brought down. And the Dire Avengers that were on the Eldar left flank have realised that they have been caught out by the canny Shadow Captain. They cannot hope to triumph over him and his Vanguard veterans, so they have formulated a new plan. Hold the objective in their deployment zone and focus on taking the Raven Guard objective from their deployment zone. The Eldar certainly have the mobility and the competence to do it. And let's see, at first we have the Eldar's first psychic phase. End of Eldar turn 1 psychic phase, and the Seer Council attempted to manifest 3 powers. First they tried to guide the Dark Reapers, but somehow the Raven Guard managed to deny that attempt. The Warlocks then attempted to cast Eldritch Storm on the Raven Guard land speeder squadron, but failed in their attempt. Finally, what the Eldar were really waiting for, invisibility, was successfully cast onto this squad of Dire Avengers. Doubtless the Farseer wants to protect them from the heavy flamers in the event that the land speeders do not both go down in flames. Let's see if they do in the Eldar's first shooting phase. End of Eldar turn 1 shooting phase, and the phase opened very badly for the Eldar. The far squad of Dire Avengers managed to roll a 1 for their run move, then another 1 re-rolling for fleet. So they were left out of range of everything. And these 2 squads of Dire Avengers opened fire on the land speeders. They got plenty of hits and plenty of glances, but the cover of the bunkers meant they didn't cause any damage to the land speeders. Fortunately, the Dark Reapers came to the rescue with plenty of hits, and the first of the 2 land speeders has been shot out of the air. The grav tanks on the Eldar right flank opened fire, and they managed to achieve first blood by taking out the Vanguard veterans Rhino. The Vanguard piled out straight upwards 3 inches onto the first floor. They are still watching over that objective. So quite a disappointing phase. The Falcons did their job well. The Wave Serpent, it jinked last turn, so it missed. But it took too much firepower really to take down one Raven Guard land speeder. Still, the Eldar are happy that they scored first blood, but let's see how many of the Raven Guard reserves arrive in their second turn, going into Raven Guard turn 2. End of Raven Guard movement phase turn 2, and the Eldar are very, very happy with the results from the Raven Guard reserve rolls at the beginning of this turn. Both the Raven Hawk assault group and the outflanking Stern Guard from the Shadow Force failed to arrive, and even worse for the Ravens, the Terminators attempted to teleport right next to the Seer Council to take them out. Unfortunately, a bad scatter followed by the roll of a 1 meant that the Terminator squad were destroyed during their teleport attempt. In response, the Shadow Captain and his Vanguard have surged forward. They are very, very upset at the destruction of their First Company brothers, and they are going to try and shred their way through an entire Dire Avenger shrine, starting off with these 2 squads at the front. Following the destruction of his wingman, the land speeder has nipped back through the bunkers, and he is going to try to do some damage to the Eldar armour with his multi-melter, and the Vanguard veteran with power fists have jumped over. They need to prise the Aspect Warriors out of their transports, and power fists should be ideal for the job. And the squad of Vanguard that disembarked from their destroyed Rhino are still following their orders and holding the objective in the Raven Guard's deployment zone. Very bad turn so far for the Ravens. Can they bring it back with a good shooting phase? Let's see, going into their turn 2 shooting phase. End of Raven Guard turn 2 shooting phase, which consisted of 1 shot. The land speeder targeted the Fire Dragon's Falcon with its multi-melter. The Falcon jinked, but the land speeder missed again. So they're very good at flying through buildings, these land speeder crew, but they are not getting top marks for accuracy. Still, we've got a couple of assaults to go in. Could be quite nasty. Going in to Raven Guard turn 2 assault phase. End of Raven Guard turn 2 assault phase, and the Vanguard veteran squad with power fists and storm shields made use of the Vanguard veteran special rule. They can disordered charge without any penalty, so they successfully charged both Falcons, destroying the first one, causing the Fire Dragons to spill out into cover, and the second one, these 2 Vanguard managed to cause 2 hull points on it and stun it. The Dire Avengers are still embarked inside. The other Vanguard veterans did exactly the same. They made a disordered charge without penalty. The far squad of Dire Avengers led by the Exarch did not manage to do any damage in Overwatch or in combat, and they were torn to pieces. The nearer squad, ironically without the Exarch, managed to take down 1 Vanguard veteran on Overwatch and wound the captain, and they managed to pull down another in assault, but between the captain's relic blade and a few of the Vanguard supporting him with their lightning claws, that squad was also torn to shreds. Following Raven Guard tactical doctrines, the Vanguard veterans have withdrawn back into cover, trusting to the barricades and the captain's armour of shadows. So a very effective assault phase from the Ravens, but it is starting to look like they have left too much in reserve, especially given the untimely death of the Terminators. Let's see how the Eldar respond in their second turn. They also have some outflanking reserves to roll for. Going into Eldar turn 2. End of Eldar turn 2 movement phase, and this is beginning to look like it has been a trap for the Ravens all along. Both Eldar reserves have come in. The striking Scorpions have arrived, and they are looking to wipe out these Vanguard veterans with a hail of fire from their pistols. And their Wave Serpent is with them. And looping around the watchtower, the Shining Spears have arrived, and the captain and his Shadow Force Vanguard have found themselves encircled by the aliens. It's usually them that are doing the encircling, but they have been caught out this time. The Fire Dragons, following the destruction of their Falcon, are pushing up towards the objective in the Raven Guard's deployment zone, and they are supported by the Wave Serpent, still containing the squad of Howling Banshees. They have not deployed from it yet. And the squad of Dire Avengers from the Aspect host has deployed from there. Falcon, it can't move, it was stunned, so the only way they have of saving it is to join with the Scorpions and gun down all of these Vanguard veterans. The Shining Spears are lining up their laser lances. They're going to try and take the Vanguard out from behind. And the Eldar Firebase in their deployment zone, the Seer Council, the Dark Reapers and the remaining squad of Dire Avengers from the Shrine are going to fire at the Vanguard and the Captain as well, to see if they can wipe out the veteran Space Marines in a hellish crossfire. Let's see if they can do it, but first we go into Eldar turn 2 Psychic phase. End of Eldar Psychic phase turn 2, and the Seer Council really are showing their psychic superiority. The Ravens had no chance of stopping either the guide that was cast on the Dark Reapers, or even more crucially, the invisibility that one of the Farseers has put on the Shining Spears. That squad is now very, very worrying for the Ravens. Another effective phase from the Eldar. I have a feeling their shooting phase is also going to be very, very bad news for the Space Marines. Let's see. Eldar shooting phase turn 2. End of Eldar shooting phase turn 2, and it looked like luck may be with the Ravens when the Shining Spears opened up and only managed to take out one Vanguard veteran. Unfortunately for the Space Marines, the last remaining squad of Dire Avengers from the Shrine decided that now was a time for their killing strike, and they managed to shoot down another 4 of the veterans. Then the Dark Reapers, under the effect of guide, opened fire on the beleaguered Space Marines. The Captain threw himself forward to absorb the swarm of anti-personnel missiles, and whilst he did save his battle brothers, he himself went down. That gives the Eldar slay the Warlord. The encircling move from the striking Scorpions has proved to be very effective. They combine their fire with the battle focusing Dire Avengers, and they shot down 3 of the Vanguard with storm shields, and the Falcon opened fire with snapshots, managed to take down another one that was trying to crack open its armour. Meanwhile, the Fire Dragons ran forwards and used their fusion guns to take down 3 of the Vanguard, and they have knocked them back off of that objective now. The Vanguard wanted to go to ground, but they're in the 1st Company Task Force, which means they're fearless and they cannot. And the only ray of hope for the Raven Guard was the Land Speeder jinking both of the Bright Lance hits that came from both Wave Serpents. This has been a catastrophic turn for the Ravens. Let's see if they can pull it back going into their 3rd turn. End of Raven Guard turn 3 movement phase, and they have formulated a new plan. The arrival of the Shining Spears and the fact that they've now been made invisible has made holding the central objective untenable for the Ravens. So they have decided to try and secure the objective in their own deployment zone and seize the objective in the Eldar deployment zone. and if they can take out the Farseer along the way, they will get Slay the Warlord, so they may be able to claw back the points. Fortunately for the Ravens, both the Ravenhawk assault group and the outflanking Stern Guard from the Shadow Force have arrived this turn. The Stern Guard are sighting their bolters at the Eldar defensive position, and the Ironclad, the other squad of Stern Guard that have both deployed from the deep striking Storm Raven, want to destroy all of the Eldar witches. That will give them Slay the Warlord if they manage it. They have combi melters. The Ironclad has 2 heavy flamers and the firepower from the Storm Raven as well. Maybe that will be enough. The Landspeeder has hovered up on top of this bunker to try and reduce the wave of Eldar that is attacking the Raven Guard objective. He is going to try and fry all of the Dire Avengers with his heavy flamer. And the one remaining Vanguard veteran with Power Fist and Storm Shield has been called back by his battle brothers. The 2 remaining from this squad cannot hope to hold back the Fire Dragons on their own, so he is coming to help. And following the death of the captain of the Shadow Force, his 3 remaining veterans with Lightning Claws, they're going to head back and see if they can knock out the Banshee's Wave Serpent with their crack grenades. Anything to stop this formidable Eldar flank attack that is pushing so hard at their objective. They're going to have to leave seizing the other one to the Ravenhawk assault group and the rest of the Stern Guard. Let's see what the Ravens manage to do in their 3rd shooting phase. End of Raven Guard shooting phase turn 3, and the Landspeeder opened fire with its heavy flamer and managed to take out 4 Dire Avengers. Good shot, but they have held morale. The Vanguard veterans tossed a couple of crack grenades and a plasma pistol shot at the Fire Dragons, but did not have any effect, and neither did the crack grenade thrown by one of the approaching Vanguard veterans with Lightning Claws when they targeted the Howling Banshee's Wave Serpent. So, not much achieved back in the Raven Guard deployment zone, but the Ravenhawk assault group announced its arrival in style. They declared their priority target to be the Seer Council. The Ironclad Dreadnought started off by burning 2 Warlocks with his heavy flamers, but then the Stern Guard veterans opened fire with their combi melters, and unfortunately for the Eldar, the Warlocks were obviously distracted as a couple of failed Lookout Sir rolls took out both Farseers as well as one other Warlock, leaving the last Warlock on his own. He has passed morale. So very, very effective from the Ravenhawk assault group. Their objective was to slay the Eldar Warlord, and they have done so in style. Their Storm Raven also contributed by picking off one of the Dark Reapers with his twin-link las cannon, and then the outflanking Stern Guard from the Shadow Force opened fire on the Dark Reapers with Hellfire rounds, and they took out another 2 and wounded the Exarch. Unsurprisingly, the Dark Reapers have held morale, but this is very effective. The Eldar now have a big problem in their own deployment zone. It looks like both of these armies are hell-bent on seizing each other's objectives. But the Ravens are not finished yet this turn. We have a couple of assaults to go in. The Vanguard are going to protect their objective in a furious assault, and the other Vanguard are going to try and take that Wave Serpent out with some crack grenades. Let's see if they can do it in Raven Guard assault phase turn 3. End of Raven Guard turn 3 assault phase, and it has been quite a good one for the Ravens. The last Vanguard veteran charged in with his Storm Shield raised and absorbed the Overwatch from the Fire Dragons. They got 1 hit, but he deflected it with his Storm Shield's power generator. And then he and these 2 Vanguard veterans from the squad without jump packs ploughed in to the Aspect Warriors. They took no damage from the attack of the Fire Dragons, and then managed to kill the Exarch and 3 more in a very, very brutal melee. The 2 remaining fire dragons have held morale though, so they remain locked up. The Vanguard veterans with lightning claws managed to make it into the Howling Banshee's Wave Serpent, but they only caused 1 penetrating hit with a crack grenade. And the Wave Serpent is shaken, but I think it's probably more concerned with deploying its Howling Banshees in the upcoming Eldar turn. It's been a very good turn from the Ravens. They really have put a lot of pressure on the Eldar backline, but I think the Eldar still have the upper hand. Let's see, going into their 3rd turn. End of Eldar turn 3 movement phase, and the lone remaining Warlock from the Seer Council has taken command, and he has ordered both the Dire Avengers and the Dark Reapers to destroy the interloping Space Marines while he oversees the objective himself. The Shining Spears have peeled round and they are looking to overrun the recently arrived outflanking Sternguard. The Warlock realises that neither the Dark Reapers nor the Dire Avengers can deal with the mighty form of the Ironclad Dreadnought or the Storm Raven, so he has ordered the 3 remaining Eldar Grav tanks to peel around and to target them with their pulse lasers and bright lances. The 2 remaining Avengers have moved up onto this bunker. I don't think they'll be able to take out the land speeder, but they can battle, focus forward and maybe add their fire to that of the Banshees that have deployed from the rear of their Wave Serpent to try and take out the last 3 Vanguard with lightning claws. And the last 2 fire dragons do not have to hold on for very long, as the striking Scorpions are moving up to support them and to take the Raven Guard's objective. The Eldar look like they have an answer to everything at the moment. Let's see, going into their much reduced psychic phase. End of Eldar psychic phase turn 3, and the Warlock only managed to generate 2 dice, which he used to cast Conceal on himself. Very short phase, the death of the 2 Farseers and the rest of his Warlock brethren has obviously got him staggering. But could be a very effective shooting phase from the Eldar. Let's see. Eldar shooting phase turn 3. End of Eldar shooting phase turn 3, and the Eldar have already taken revenge for the death of their Farseers. An absolutely blistering volley from the Dire Avengers and the Dark Reapers wiped out the squad of Sternguard from the Ravenhawk assault group. Both the Falcon and the Wave Serpent fired their bright lances at the Ironclad Dreadnought, but a bit of luck for the Raven Guard, it is unharmed. The Banshee's Wave Serpent, however, did manage to hit the Storm Raven with its bright lance, managed to knock off a hull point and shake the hovering aircraft. Shining Spears unleashed a volley of shuriken fire at the Sternguard veterans sheltering in the far bunker, but thanks to their armour and the cover, only 1 fell. And I think the Shining Spears are going to follow their volley up with an assault which should finish off the remaining Sternguard. The 2 remaining Dire Avengers battle focused down into the middle of this bunker complex and managed to shoot down 1 Vanguard veteran with their shuriken catapults, and another was taken out by the running Howling Banshees. The Scorpions have not fired. They are preparing their chainswords to deal with the Vanguard veterans protecting the Raven Guard objective. A good phase from the Eldar. The heart has really been torn out of this Raven Guard army. They are looking very, very thin on the ground now. And I think at the end of the Eldar assault phase they are going to be looking even thinner. Let's see. Eldar assault phase turn 3. End of Eldar assault phase turn 3, and the Scorpions made it into combat with the remaining Vanguard veterans, and between their Exarch's Claw and the rest of their Scorpion chainsword attacks, all of the Vanguard were hacked down before they got to strike back. Scorpions are holding position on the ground right next to the objective. The Fire Dragons have consolidated up onto the first floor, and with the Banshees moving up in support as well, it looks like the Eldar have well and truly secured that objective. Especially given that the Raven Guard over this side only have the Land Speeder and 1 Vanguard veteran remaining. The bad news kept coming for the Ravens. The Shining Spears tore into the newly arrived Stern Guard. They didn't lose any Aspect Warriors to Overwatch, and they rode down all of the veteran Space Marines. Another devastating turn from the Eldar. The Raven Guard only have the Ironclad and the Storm Raven, 1 Vanguard veteran and the Land Speeder remaining. Let's see if they can do anything with these paltry assets in their 4th turn. End of Raven Guard turn 4 movement phase, and having dropped off its cargo to certain destruction, the Raven Guard Storm Raven has taken off again. It has gone into flight mode, and even though it will be firing snapshots, it may be able to knock the last hull point off of this Falcon. The Land Speeder has moved towards the Eldar objective. He can just about catch that Warlock with his heavy flamer, maybe take him out with his multi-melter. And the only substantial asset that the Raven Guard have left, the Ironclad Dreadnought, is going to burn out the squad of Dire Avengers with his heavy flamers. But with all those Shining Spears lurking there, it looks like his days may be numbered. And back in the Raven Guard deployment zone, the last Vanguard veteran with Lightning Claws has leapt over the Eldar, taken up position in this building, and he is going to try and take down the last 2 Fire Dragons. It may be a futile gesture, but it will give him some satisfaction if he can manage it. The Raven Guard really do have hardly anything left now, but let's see if they can take as many aliens with them as possible. Going into Raven Guard turn 4 shooting phase. End of Raven Guard turn 4 shooting phase, and the last Vanguard veteran attempted to take out one of the Fire Dragons that he's preparing to charge with a crack grenade, but could not hit the Aspect Warrior with his throw. The Storm Raven firing snapshots missed with all of its attempts to knock out the last hull point on this Falcon. But the Land Speeder managed to take down the last Warlock with a fiery blast from its heavy flamer, and 4 Dire Avengers received the same treatment from the Ironclad Dreadnought. The lone surviving Dire Avenger is preparing himself for the charge of the mighty machine. Going into Raven Guard turn 4 assault phase. End of Raven Guard turn 4 assault phase, and the Vanguard veteran leapt the gap and crushed one of the 2 remaining Fire Dragons with his Hammer of Wrath, but the last Fire Dragon managed to take him out before he could lay about with the Lightning Claws. All the Vanguard veterans are now dead. The Ironclad Dreadnought stomped on the last Dire Avenger and has come moving through this bunker. He is now just trying to protect his back from the circling Shining Spears. This could be the end going into Eldar turn 4. End of Eldar movement phase turn 4, and they are confident now in their superiority over this battlefield. The Fire Dragon and the Scorpions, they have held position. They are going to make sure that they continue to hold this objective. And the Banshee's Wave Serpent has hovered over to contest, and to hold exclusively the middle objective. The Banshees themselves are going to move as fast as they can back towards the remaining Raven Guard presence on the table. The two Grav tanks still over on this flank, the Falcon and the Wave Serpent, they are going to target either the Storm Raven or the Ironclad. They may not have to deal with the Ironclad because it has failed to protect its rear armour from the assault of the Shining Spears, Laser Lances. We may be saying goodbye to the Dreadnought. The Dark Reapers, who are still there contesting this objective, are going to join with the two remaining Dire Avengers, who are still moving in the central bunker complex, in taking down the Raven Guard land speeder. This could be a tabling this turn. Let's see. There is no psychic phase. At least the Space Marines have taken out all of the Eldar Psykers, but Eldar turn 4 shooting phase could be the end of the game. Let's see. End of Eldar turn 4 shooting phase, and the news is grim for the Imperium. The Banshees and the remaining Dire Avengers brought down the land speeder with a hail of shuriken fire. The Shining Spears only managed to do one hull point to the Ironclad Dreadnought, but a long range shot from the pulse laser mounted on this Falcon blew up the venerable war machine. The only unit remaining to the Raven Guard is the Flying Storm Raven, and I think somehow that is not going to be enough. So the game has ended. The Eldar control all 3 objectives. They have this one held by the Scorpions, this one held by the Banshee's Wave Serpent, and their own home objective returned to their control by the destruction of the Ironclad. They also have all 3 bonus points. They have Linebreaker, they got First Blood, and they also got Slay the Warlord, bringing the Eldar victory point total to 12. And unfortunately for the Ravens, the only point they managed to get was Slay the Warlord for wiping out the Seer Council and killing both Farseers along the way. The Swordwind has delivered an abject lesson to the veterans of the Raven Guard 1st Company. They have quite comfortably cut them to pieces. I think the Ravens were quite unlucky, some of their reserve roles, the destruction of the Terminators, but the Eldar Aspect hosts, the Dire Avenger Shrine, the Seer Council, and just the Eldar units in general have demonstrated how deadly they can be. It's been a great game. Thanks very much for watching. Please subscribe to our channel and we will keep producing as many Warhammer 40,000 battle reports as we can. See ya!